Hello everybody and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle and to my latest episode of New Music Weekly. It's October 25th, 2024, and this is the show where I give you guys the prog news for the week, introduce you guys to some prog singles that you may enjoy, and give you updates on the channel and what's happening here on Nathan on Shuffle. So it's always fun to be able to do these weekly check-ins. There wasn't a ton of news this week, so it might be a little bit light, but I'm going to focus on a couple of interesting things that I think you guys will like. And please check out the description if you want to click on the singles that I mentioned in this video. You can check out these songs, play them for yourself, and decide how you feel about this great new music that's coming out. So first on the Prog News Hot 5, we've got Mike Portnoy performing live with Dream Theater for the first time in 14 years, if you can believe it. He last played with them on the Black Clouds and Silver Lining tour in August 2010. So that's been quite some time till this return, the glorious show that they did in London, kicking off their 40th anniversary as a band, which is crazy to imagine since I've been a big fan of Dream Theater for quite a long time, not since their early days in inception, more in the early 2000s era of the band, but still, it's crazy how time flies, and that this is kind of a monumental tour and occasion, and there's been lots of videos that have come out. Of course, people have spoiled the set list and all this kind of stuff, and it seems like it was a really big event, that everyone was very happy with the event and everything that came about from it, that Mike Portnoy was on fire, that the band was really having a fun time, that the set list was really strong, spanning their whole catalog, throughout their discography. They featured their new track that they released called Night Terror. They opened the show with Metropolis Part 1, and there's plenty of videos out there showcasing it. So it just seems like a glorious celebration, and people were really excited, and everything went well. The only criticisms I've heard, of course, are the typical talk about James LaBrie and how his vocals maybe aren't matching up to him in his prime, which is understandable at his age, and I think he adapts as best he can, but I know that there's a lot of people who criticize James LaBrie and his participation in the group at this point, but to me he's an essential part of the band and their sound, so I would never want to do without his participation in the events. But glad for Dream Theater, excited to see them when they roll around closer to my area, but that's not until like February next year, I believe, when they're doing their US side of the tour. But very happy for them, very happy for the monumental achievement, and excited to see what's coming up in their near future. Secondly, we have a new single from the Pineapple Thief. This is called All Because of Me. This is coming on their upcoming EP Last to Run, which is being released on K-Scope Records on November 8th. A really great song, energetic, fun, off the heels of their album that came earlier this year called It Leads to This, which I quite enjoyed. Some of my fellow reviewers were a little bit harder on it, weren't really as huge of fans, but I thought it was just a pristine sounding record with a lot of really solid tracks on it. A little bit short, but maybe this EP will help round it out if you consider them somewhat of a package deal. But I love Pineapple Thief and Bruce Sword, and fantastic collection of musicians. Of course, Gavin Hertzen is part of the group, adding a great skill to the drumming work, and they're just great modern prog with cool sounds, not unlike Porcupine Tree, obviously, and things of that nature. Never too heavy, never too experimental, at least in these more recent records. Just very straightforward, great music with great melodies and great songwriting. So a really good track, and it definitely is going to be listed in my prog singles list in the description. Beardfish launched a new track from their forthcoming album. This is the overture of their big multi-part epic that's on the album called Out in the Open. The album is called Songs for Beating Hearts, which comes out next Friday, actually, on November 1st. I'm going to be doing a review of it this week, so I'm excited to talk more in depth about the album. It's a welcome return for Beardfish, who called it quits several years back, but are back together now and doing some live dates from some festival appearances and things of that nature. They're going to be on Cruise to the Edge next year, and this album is a really great release from them. It's really in line with all things that they've done. They have a super strong catalog. If you just like, your cool, quirky, modern progressive rock, they're great figureheads for the genre, a Swedish progressive rock group that is one of the best in the genre, in my opinion. So, and this Overture showcases all the best of their kind of quirky blend of like Gentle Giant-y, Frank Zappa craziness, with a bit of a bedrock of progressive influences from the classic era. I really enjoy it. I think it's a fun epic in total, but this Overture gives a cool little taster of it. So the album's out to pre-order and will be available to listen to, I'm sure, on all of the different services on the next Friday, on November 1st. I saw, for item number 4, Kate Bush revealing her plans to return to music. Apparently she had a bit of an interview recently talking about how she plans to get back into writing and recording some new music, which has excited a lot of fans. But interestingly as well, she's released a new short film called Little Shrew, which uses her track Snowflake from her 2011 album, 50 Words for Snow, a black and white animation of a small rodent running through a war-torn landscape, basically an anti-war message that she's putting forward, a message for peace, which is very well needed in these times. So I'm going to link that as one of the singles. Of course, the song's quite a bit older, but I think it's a relevant video for now, and I think it's a good one to watch and to experience. Kate Bush is a wonderful, eclectic, art rock style artist that I really respect, and excited to see what future plans she may have. It doesn't sound like she's really worked on anything quite yet, but it's more like that she plans to in the near future. So wouldn't expect to see anything from her like eminently, but maybe somewhere down the road. To know that she's focused on thinking about new music is enough to get fans excited about what could be ahead. And then Von Hertzen brothers, they released their new album today and celebrated it with a new video called The Relapse. It's the opening track on the album. They released a video of this this week in anticipation of the album release. So the album's out now. It's a really cool driving rock album. They kind of went away from their more progressive leanings on the last album, Red Alert and the Blue Forest, which was one of my favorite albums of the year it came out. It was like in second place for the year. I thought it was an excellent release. Unfortunately for me and my taste, they're kind of moving away from the progginess side and doing something a bit more straightforward rock with a lot of catchy hooks and choruses, but still pristinely produced, really great sounds. If you love the classic rock bands, there's a lot to love on here. And of course, little snippets and tastes of their kind of proggy sounds as well, all embedded throughout. I think they're a wonderful band that really continues to impress, has a great live performance, and has a lot of great energy and positivity about them. So great sound. Check out their new release, their new album. It's definitely worth checking out. And if you want a taste of it, The Relapse is the opening track and showcases this kind of more straightforward rock edge with a bit of different elements added into the mix. They say that it's a mix of AC/DC, Queens of the Stone Age, Phil Collins, and maybe a bit of U2. All this served to you with familiar Von Hertzian seasoning and a bit of krautrock sprinkled on top. There's also some saxophone featured, I believe, on the track, so that's kind of a cool different element as well. And so really cool album to check out if you're into this style. Don't expect it to be too overtly proggy, like I mentioned, but just straightforward, great classic rock sound that they do expertly well. So that pretty much covers my news items for the week. To recap some of the prog singles, we've got Pineapple Thieves, All Because of Me, Beardfish, Out in the Open Part 1 Overture, Kate Bush's short film, Little Shrew, using the track Snowflake, Von Hertzen brothers, The Relapse. And then to round it out, I had two choices that I was considering for the 5th spot of the prog singles, and I thought, why not both? Why not add them both into the mix? So I have Motorpsycho's track Up to Me, which is a cover of Jethro Tull. This is from an upcoming redo of, I believe, the Aqualung by Jethro Tull. There's a bunch of different artists re-recording songs from the album Aqualung and putting it together for a release from Magnetic Eye Records. Seems in the past they've done this with Pink Floyd's The Wall, AC/DC's Back in Black, and Jimi Hendrix's Electric Ladyland. and it'll be released on December 6th. But I think it's cool to see Motorpsycho's take. They're a bit more psychedelic and a bit more avant-garde and a little bit artsier, so they take on this Jethro Tull classic in their own unique fashion. I thought it was a really cool take and worth hearing. The sixth track on my list here is Virtual Symmetry and their track Canvas of Souls. This is more of a traditional progressive metal act, Italian and Swiss in their background. This is their fourth album that this is coming from, called Veils of Illumination, which is coming out on December 6th. Apparently it features an epic 20-minute suite on it, so you get a lot of that good progressive spirit. This track was really fun to listen to. A lot of great guitar playing and keyboard interplay, as you'd expect from a progressive band. But definitely with that heavier metal undertone as well. But a catchy track, an easy one to listen to if you love progressive metal, and definitely well worth your time. And it'll be an album I'll be looking out for. So those are my prog singles. I think it's been a fun little week. Some interesting things to check out. Hopefully you agree. Let me know in the comments if there's any additional news items or singles that I may have missed in my list. As for the channel this week, I did a Prog Song Sunday with Jana where we listened to Porcupine Tree's Even Less, which was very fitting. I didn't plan it this way, but it ended up coming out when I was on the Prog Corners episode of the top 10 Porcupine Tree songs for his live stream last weekend. So if you want to go to the Prog Corners channel and check that out, it was a really fun time with a great panel of different guests. I gave my top 10 songs of Porcupine Tree, which was a lot of fun to put together, even though it was a very difficult task. So I'd urge you to check that out if you haven't seen his video yet. I also did a review this week of Jordy Greep's The New Sound. Jordy Greep is the frontman of Black Midi, which of course disbanded recently, and now he's forging his own solo path. And I think this is one of the most creative, interesting, artistic albums of the year, frankly. And it's been growing on me, even though it's a little bit avant-garde for my taste. I know his style isn't for everyone. He does these kind of weird, over-the-top talking style vocals that can be a little bit intense, but I really like his approach. I think he's really an interesting figure who's making very interesting music, unlike anyone else. So to me, that's truly progressive and shows an inclination to trying to progress the genre forward and do some new things with it. So I appreciate that. And speaking of that kind of vision that a lot of artists have, I did the top 5 modern prog visionaries, where I detailed 5 artists who I think go above and beyond just being typical prog rock musicians and have a specific vision for their music. They're creative geniuses in a sense who can build musical worlds all their own. And there's a lot of other contenders that I didn't mention in my video that people have brought up in the comments. Of course, Michael Ackerfeld, Maurice Duda from Riverside is a great one. Devin Townsend is a big one that I didn't mention. And there's several others that people have pointed out in the comments. So obviously having only 5 selections is going to leave some people out, but it was still fun to put together, and I still stand by my list. So check that video out if you want to know my official picks for the top 5 modern prog visionaries. And that's my episode today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments how you feel, how you're doing this weekend. I'd be interested to know what you're listening to. All of that would be fun to read about in the comments. So thank you guys for your support of the channel, for all that you've done for me, and hopefully you'll stick around for future episodes. This week we've got a Beardfish review, which I'm excited to put out early next week. And that's going to be the focus of the channel. So hopefully you'll check out that review. If you like my channel, I think Beardfish is definitely going to be a high priority and a great band to check out. So thank you guys, and I'll catch you in a future episode. Bye, everybody!